Hello, everybody. And especially hello, you, Aerik Arkadian. How are you
Hi,
doing?
Christiana. I am great. How are you?
Happy to be looking at you and happy to be here. Thank you for joining us once again for a village gathering. I see people coming in. We are live streaming on YouTube Horizontal, YouTube Portrait, Twitch, and Facebook. Our Instagram is down today, so sad about that, but oh well. We're here and it's good to see everybody. All right. Today, for those of you who have not been playing along, after 40 years of tarot study, I've been playing with runes for about 20 of those years, but only very minorly. And somehow Aerik Arkadian encouraged me, just by your presence, Aerik, really, to explore the runes a little bit more. And I've been inviting Aerik on, not every month, but often on a Wednesday for Wyrd Wednesday when we talk about runes. And that's what we're here to do now. Suspicious username, good to see you over on Twitch. Thanks for being here. Right, you like the pun, right? Weird and weird. It's a good pun. So before we get into our topic, which is runes, and we will do some readings, Aerik, you have some really exciting news, if I understand correctly, about not one, but two publications, and one of them has a StaarCon story attached to it.
It does.
Talk.
Yeah. Okay, so this past week has been a little intense for me because I got my edits back from my first book, which is on fluid condensers, and that will go to publication in March of 2026. So you can actually pre-order that right now. It's through Crossed Crow. And on top of that, at the same time that all that's happening, I finalized the contract for something that we've been talking about since StaarCon.
Which was in January. For those of you who don't know, StaarCon was at the end of January.
Which is, everybody keeps asking me what book I recommend on runes. I'm tired of answering that question, so I'm just writing my own. So, very excited to do that. I never intended to write a book on runes, but that's how it's all playing out. I'm pretty excited about it. So that one is due. My contract due date is also in March. So then it'll probably be another year and then it'll be published. So a lot of things happening in March. It's also my wedding anniversary. So
fabulous, fabulous. And the backstory, like, I'm so happy about this because the backstory on this is all of the major publishers pretty much sponsor StaarCon, which is fabulous. But Wiser has actually been sending a representative. And the first year they sent her, I pointed her in someone's direction, and that was Marie Alves Hernando. I said, you should really look at Maria. Look at Maria, go to her session, see what you think. Maria's book is coming out right now. So then StaarCon, that was StaarCon 24. StaarCon 5, she comes to me and she's like, so is there anyone I should pay special attention to? And my first thing was, Aerik Arkadian is coming up on the schedule like in the next hour. I would really like you to see him. I think he's fabulous. And here it is. So I enjoy being the publisher whisperer. and yeah,
everything is a little bit easier when you have a tarot fairy godmother.
There it is. But I mean, obviously, it's well deserved for you, and there it is. And Suspicious Username over on Twitch says, yay, that's amazing. As someone learning runes, much needed. And that's so cool because I am also learning runes. And now is the moment where I must make my confession to my teacher. Aerik, I was doing so well, but I'm not now. I have not been working with my runes for the past couple of months. Have I been very busy? Yes, but I was very busy before too. And I'm not quite sure what happened because for a period of time I was like, oh, let's get the runes. Like, let's get the runes. Let's play with the runes. And I just kind of stopped. And I've had my tarot students tell me about this phenomenon. And what I always say to them is, don't worry, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Tarot's been around for a long time. It will wait for you. It's not a problem. You're not pissing me off. You're not pissing tarot off. But let me ask you, as I am now clearly returning to my studies, because here we are, what do you say to someone like me who just sort of fell off?
I mean, that's part of being human. Life happens, right? Have we talked about this before? I have like a strange deja vu of this happening. So I don't know, but did we talk about like how you get through that?
Because we did not. No.
Okay, so there's I think with everything I've ever been passionate about, there have naturally been lulls in doing the thing, right? It might be 6 months on and then you take a month break. You get distracted with other things. And I think that is actually really important to the learning process, because what happens is you go in, you learn a bunch of stuff, and then you take a break from it. And maybe you focus on something else. And while you're focusing on the other thing, all that information assimilates in your brain and it starts to become part of your natural process of reasoning. And then you go back and you look at it with different eyes. And then all of a sudden, instead of everything being all new, it's familiar and you're coming back as if it was a thing that you already had experience with that you're building on. And even better, sometimes we take a break from runes, right? And we go to another related thing and we're like, oh, tarot kind of interests me now. And then you start looking at patterns in tarot, and then you come back to runes and you apply all of the things that you just learned from tarot to runes, and you can go all over the place, and every step of the way is another enhancement to everything that you do.
That felt so good. So today obviously is my return to that practice, and that felt really, really good. We have a comment and a question over on Twitch from Suspicious Username. First, the comment, and I'm just wondering if you have a comment to this. I've noticed a lot of tarot readers going back to runes and learning them. It's making a comeback. Do you feel like runes are having a moment, becoming more popular, either in the tarot community or generally? What do you think about that?
Well, I sure hope so. No, I think it's, I think maybe like culturally, we also go through cycles and phases where like, how should I say this? We're attracted to something and then there's an objection and we go away from that something, right? So everybody got really excited and interested about the runes maybe like 20 years ago. And there was a big bump. And I don't have any statistics to back this up, by the way. I'm just telling you what I think. And there was like a big bump in rune, from what I can see by like publication dates and stuff like that. And then there was an objection and a conflict, because then we started figuring out where a lot of that information came from, right? And then everybody's like, let's pull away from this for a minute. So now we're learning how to navigate around the bad. And I think there's probably a little bit of more curiosity and open-mindedness around those perspectives. What do you think?
So I tend to agree with you, Aerik, and I just want to be clear that I'm hearing you, and also for everybody else here. Am I to assume that when we talk about like those bad things, that's our disclaimer every time, right? Okay, yeah. So let's do the disclaimer. We always have to do this disclaimer. We are not folkish. we believe that the runes and everything on the planet is for everybody.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the symbols of the runes and the runes themselves and heathenry in general does have a branch that really only wants people of their heritage to play along. And neither you nor I believe in that. And I would say even more strongly, we condemn it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
Certainly condemn.
Yes. Okay, good. But all that said, there is a question, suspicious username, I am coming back to you. There is a question from Trey. Do people with Norse ancestry tend to be more interested in runes?
I think that's a really personal.
Yeah.
That's almost like that's really a personal question,
Yeah.
right? And I wouldn't think it would almost be like offensive to go up to someone and say, you have Norse ancestry, so you like the runes, right? Because like they're their own person. It doesn't have anything to do with that necessarily.
Right. So not necessarily. And Mediha Ness wants us to know, I've been researching a bit since you started this series. I love that. So suspicious username wants to know if you're going to be making rune sets for the release of the book to sell alongside.
Well, I do actually. That's a really interesting question. I do craft rune sets, and I am about to make another few sets out of antler that will go up on my Etsy store, which is called Spoonful of Magic. Or you can go to my website and find my shop page, and you can see some of the sets. Or if you're interested in commissioning a custom set, like out of wood or something, you can let me know, and we'll work it out.
You and I might need to talk about that.
Okay.
Cool. And there is a link to Aerik Arkadian's website right in the description. So definitely check that out. And also if you go to Etsy, Spoonful of Magic, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you've got some really nice ones made out of deer antler, is that right?
Yeah, I sold all of them. So
of course you did. They were gorgeous.
I just got a bunch of blanks in. I have like 100 antler slices, and I'm going to start making some more sets soon. It's just, between editing one book and trying to put together another one. And also, I don't know if we really talked about this, but I started school as a full-time student. So like, there's all these things.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. That's very cool. So back to Mediha Ness, what she says is she started researching. Some of the info that she found was based on fictional history. And we see that in the tarot world all the time. Oh, and Wendy just dropped in the YouTube horizontal chat, Wendy just dropped Aerik's website link.
Thank you.
So it's right there. Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate that. You are an awesome moderator. So, I mean, it happens with tarot too. Like, people tell a lot of silly stories about the origin of tarot. No one knows the origin of tarot. It comes from Egypt. It was found in a sarcophagus. No, none of that. So I think we can probably assume that there's some of that modern mythology, if you want to call it that, created about the runes as well. Would you agree?
I don't know if I've really heard any spectacular stories like that surrounding the runes. I mean, there's obviously the creation myth where Odin gets the power of the runes by peering into the well and hanging himself from the tree. But aside from that, I don't know if I've really heard some far out tales like that.
Ness found the racists. They wanted to create a history to meet their racist agenda, and they went with it. There it is. Okay. Serviceman 1 on YouTube. I started with runes and moved to tarot 40 years ago. I was afraid to learn 78 meanings as I thought 22 was a lot to understand. I read more books about learning runes as their history. And if I understand correctly, you've got an historical runes exercise for us coming up. Is that true?
Yep.
I'm excited about that. Oh, and you carved your set of runes from a lightning-struck tree and you bloodied them. All right, well done. So before we go into the runes lesson, okay, Aerik Arkadian, being the multi-talented person he is also a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And also has a weekly newsletter. And Aerik, you're one of the few people besides me that I know that is willing to do a weekly newsletter. And a few weeks ago, Aerik sent out a newsletter that talked about 5 influential albums from your life. And I have been, just since I read that newsletter, it's been like a brainworm for me. What would be my 5 influential albums? And I can't do it. There are too many. I'm too old. I could tell you 10. I could tell you 20. I couldn't tell you 5. But I thought it would be fun because this, just as payback for you, because this has been in my brain now since you wrote that. I wonder if everyone here would be willing to chat in one album, musical album, record album that they remember from their youth as very influential to them. Just one, not the most, just one. And I'll share mine, and Aerik, you can share yours. What do you think?
I think that's fair, but I have to give you this little caveat, Christiana, that so in the newsletter on Mondays, I answer a stupid prompt question, right? It's whatever the gods of the internet give me to answer, I answer that question. The prompt question was, what is your favorite album? Which I refused to answer because I can't pick a favorite.
No, gosh, no.
So I said, I'll do 5 because, whatever. I can talk about 5, but I can't pick. I'm really bad at picking favorites. But now you're bringing me back to the original question of picking one.
Picking one. And it doesn't have to be favorite, but influential from your youth.
Okay.
Something that helped make you who you are today. And anyone else who's listening, tell us the name of your album. Do you want to go first or you want me to go first, Aerik?
I want to hear yours first.
Okay. Blue Oyster Cult, Agents of Fortune. Now, the funny thing about that, I mean, the name Agents of Fortune, there are literally tarot cards on the cover of this album. Did I identify them as such at the time? I did not. But I had my first real boyfriend. We lasted for 3 months, the beginning of freshman year. So for my 14th birthday, he got me that album because Don't Fear the Reaper was our song. Because like Romeo and Juliet, we were going to be together for eternity. Now, the truth is we met up accidentally again after we broke up after those 3 months. We met up accidentally again when we were about 18 and actually lived together for like 4 years, which is very, that was interesting. But it's interesting to me that that album had Patti Smith on it as a guest, and I got really into Patti Smith. And the fact that the theme of the album was around fortune and to some extent fortune telling, which I now do professionally. So how interesting is that?
Fascinating. I like it.
I know. Okay, your turn.
Okay, so again, this is really hard for me, but if I have to pick one, I'm going to go with Absolution by Muse. Because although I can't necessarily tell you my favorite album, I think Muse is my favorite band. And unfortunately, the thing is, depending on my mood, who I say is my favorite will be different, right? But now,
same.
Right now, I'm feeling pretty good. So Muse is my favorite band, and Absolution was the first album that I heard from them. I think I was probably like 14, maybe also 14, 15, around that age. And I downloaded it. I think I downloaded it from LimeWire or
I remember LimeWire.
Yeah. Because my sister had said, have you ever heard of Muse? And I was like, no, I've never heard of Muse, because remember, as a kid, I was not allowed to listen to rock music or secular music. So interestingly, I learned recently that our musical tastes are pretty much solidified by the time we're 13 or 14. Like neurologically, the brain has developed what will be your musical taste for the rest of your life. Doesn't mean you can't learn to like new things, but that'll be your taste. So I feel like I missed a whole bunch of developmental years of music because I didn't start to listen to secular music until around the age of 14 or 15 when I could download it from the internet. Anyway, Absolution was one of the first albums I ever downloaded, and I fell in love with it.
Perfect. I love that. Good story. Trey, you're awesome. No worries, Trey. Trey apologizes if we were offended by the question he asked. We were not offended.
No,
and
not at all.
We're all here to learn, and we love you, and we appreciate you, everyone here. But narrowcasting to Trey right this minute. Trey, you're awesome. No worries. Okay, so we have a couple of other people. So Wendy Robeson grew up a lot like you did. So hers was Amy Grant, Lead Me On, the only music I could listen to in my youth. Let's see. Ness, Mediha Ness. New Model Army, Thunder and Consolation. I was still learning English, had no idea what they were saying. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hang on a minute. Suspicious username, Beach Boys Kokomo.
Nice.
Great. Don't know why. When I was a kid, it was cool. I was like 5, 6 years of age. Wouldn't say an album, but I liked that song. It made me happy. But I'm very simple. So it's a great song. And I actually have, I wrote a parody sort of that song for an organization I was part of, making the song be about the organization. My friends and I, we played music together, ukulele, guitar, and sang, me badly, but would sing together. So we played that song for them. And to this day, I'm not part of the organization anymore, but that song is still played and sung very regularly. So Kokomo will always have a place in my heart.
You're really good at rewriting songs.
Oh, yeah. I have sent a few to you, haven't I?
Yeah.
I always just wanted to be Weird Al, and there are people who tell me I look a little bit like him. So, there we are. All right. Back to the task at hand. Suspicious username. That's so cute. Thank you. Okay, back to the task at hand. You're going to teach us something today.
Well, we're going to talk about the rune poems a little bit.
The rune poems.
Poems.
What are the rune poems?
So, there are 3 noteworthy rune poems, and there are actually more than that, but scholars have really been kind of fixated on 3, and they came from different parts of the world. They're written in runes about runes, and this is where we get the meaning of the runes from.
But how many poems are there? Only
so there's 3, and it's theorized, but they're long poems. So they each have a stanza for each rune. It's called a kinning. And there's one that is called the Icelandic rune poem. There's one called the Norwegian rune poem. And there's one called the Anglo-Saxon or Old English rune poems. And these came from different regions of the world. They're written in different languages. And they're also written in different alphabets. So let's talk about that for a second. All right, because first of all, the runes can be used to write any language because all the rune represents is a speech sound. So you could use the runes to write a word in English if you wanted. It wouldn't always work out the best, but you could, right? Because it's just indicating sounds. So these were written in Old Norwegian, Old Icelandic, and then Old English as their languages. 2 of the poems are written with the alphabet of Younger Futhark, and then the Old English or Anglo-Saxon poems are written in Anglo-Saxon Futhorc. So these are 2 different alphabets that we're using to write in Futhorc. Yes.
Futhorc.
So we're talking about Elder Futhark,
right?
Right? But when the runes intermingled with more of like the Old English speakers and those sort of language influences, they had to add and distinguish between the sounds for a and o more. So they added letters to better fit the English speaking sounds. So instead of Futhark, they added the O sound as Futhorc.
Wow.
So it gets really like you can go way out in the weeds with it because, again, we're talking about 3 languages and 2 different alphabets. Neither of those alphabets, by the way, are the Elder Futhark alphabet that we're talking about when we do divination or magic in regard to these live streams. Wow. But we don't have anything written about Elder Futhark. So the best thing we can do is go to these other alphabets, see what they said, and try to match what the letters are.
Okay, that makes sense.
So these are kind of like riddles. And it was thought that these rune poems were kind of like a mnemonic device. And this was how they would teach people the alphabet and how to remember how to write things or, what the letters meant and stuff like that. Now, was there any inherent magical meaning to these things back in the day? We don't really know. We don't have evidence of that. But we do know that they used to write stuff with them. We do know that.
And words are magic, and writing is magic.
The act of writing is magic.
Is magic.
Yes, absolutely.
Is magic.
Yes.
So I'm just going to interrupt you for 2 seconds. One is for Serviceman 1 was 15 when the first Black Sabbath album came out in 1970. And so that's their album. And I will say I saw Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult together in 1980. And speaking of Icelandic, this is coming from Trey, the singer Björk has I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Vegvisir tattoo? Is that a rune? And am I even saying it right? Vegvisir.
I think Björk has a bind rune tattooed on her arm. I think it's a bind rune. I could be wrong.
I love that idea, though.
I feel like I have that swimming around in my head somewhere. It's not a single rune, but a bind rune like we talked about a couple episodes ago.
Got it. All right. So back to the lesson at hand. Go ahead.
Okay. So these are kind of like riddles, right? And in the poems, it's going to describe a thing, giving you some clues. And then from the thing that is being described, we have taken the meaning of whatever rune starts off that series of the poem. We say, okay, this is this thing. So for instance, the rune for Fehu talks about wealth or cattle, right? So it talks about wealth being a comfort to people. So we took that and we said, okay, Fehu means wealth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some of the poems. I won't say the rune name, and you can try to guess what rune we're talking about. Now, I have picked some that I think you can guess. Some of them are just like a mess. Okay, but I have picked some that I think you can guess if we talk about it. So
okay, and everyone else, you got to guess with me. Guess
Mm-hmm.
with me. Don't put this all on me. Okay, go ahead. We're ready.
Okay, so the first one says, bark of rivers and roof of the wave and destruction of the doomed.
Okay. I'm going through these fabulous rune cards that Michelle sent me to look. And I think it's that one that is. Say it one more time.
Bark of rivers and roof of the waves and destruction of the doomed. Now, focus on that imagery in the first line. What could be construed as bark on water?
A boat? No.
Well, perhaps. But think of a layer of bark on top of water, except it's not bark. We're talking about something that might, at some point during the year, be solid on water.
Ice.
Yes.
Ice. Isa. It's Isa.
Yes.
Okay, and Wendy had guessed Laguz, which I was, lost you. Hang on one second. Must bring you back. Give me a second. Okay, show on stream. Close. Okay, you're back. Okay,
I'm back.
good.
Okay.
You're back. Okay. So Wendy had guessed Laguz. I was going there as well, but Isa.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's Isa. So that was from the Icelandic poem. The Norwegian poem says, "Ice we call the broad bridge, the blind man must be led." And the Old English version says, "Ice is very cold and immeasurably slippery."
And if you had led with one of those, it would have been really easy.
It would have been too obvious, right? I had to give you the more poetic one, right?
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that's one. Here's another.
Okay.
Shield of the clouds and shining ray and destroyer of ice.
This is Sola.
You got it. Yep.
Right, the sun.
The sun. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Which, let me show it to people if I can find it real quickly. It's the one that looks like an S, essentially, which stands for sun, and its name, Soila, which makes it so easy. But, there it is.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the one. So here's one from the Norwegian rune poems. This is obviously an English translation of everything that we're talking about, which, depending on who does the translating, these poems turn out a little bit different. But this translation says, "Augmentation of the dust. Great is the claw of the hawk." Now, that's kind of a stumper because the second line really has nothing to do with the rune. Great is the claw of the hawk. And you'll see with some of the rune poems, they talk about animals kind of randomly, like the serpent or the wolf or the hawk. But that first line, augmentation of the dust, I think is a clue.
Wendy is guessing Manas. Is she right?
She's right. Yep.
Well done, Wendy.
Good
you
job.
go, girl. Fabulous. Very good. So I love that. I love all of that. Did you have another, or is that what we've got?
I took one more because because the ones that we just did, they are a little easy to figure out.
Oh no, is this the hard one?
Okay. So this one, source of recreation and amusement to the great, where warriors sit blithely together in the banqueting hall.
How about Pertha?
What the heck?
I'm looking for it now. I'm trying to find it.
What?
I'm not finding it, but I found it in my mind.
Did you cheat?
No. Here's where that came from in my mind. Because in studying, when I was studying, which obviously I have not done as I should have of late, but when studying, I remembered that it's the dice cup. I mean, it's also, it can also talk about womanhood because of its shape, but it's also the dice cup. And I thought about that, and I thought about Wheel of Fortune and all of that. And so that
was a really good guess.
Thank
and
you.
I love how you got there. And interestingly, the word for Perthro here is written as this other word, Pjorth, or something like that. I don't really know how to say it. Okay. That word is only written like one other place in history, and scholars really don't know exactly what it means. And the closest translation that they think it might have come up with is pear tree, which has nothing to do with the gambler's cup or the dice cup. And it, like, now I can read that poem and I think of warriors sitting in the hall, and maybe they're having fun and amusement and recreation by gambling, right? But if you look at if you take the pear tree, so they think there's one opinion that maybe the pear tree or some other similar fruit tree was something that they made like instruments out of. It was a type of wood that they made instruments out of, and the recreation and amusement is referring to playing music in the banquet hall. And this is why it's so important that the cultural understanding, because how they would see the pear tree. Okay, I think of a pear tree and I think of Christmas because of those like fancy pears that
and the partridge.
Yeah. So I would never like see pear tree and have a personal implication of like amusement or I don't know. I think of Christmas, right? So the way they thought of wood and trees and the plants around them is very different from how we think of them today. So that's why there is sometimes this knowledge gap. But truly, no one knows what this word meant and what this rune poem is talking about. So this is actually something that fell out of knowledge, and we do our best to recreate or turn it into something in the modern light.
To reconstruct. And, you know, I mean, there's so many similarities, I think, to tarot in that same context, you know, where tarot began as a game and also with poetry involved. And it took a long time for it to turn into what we have it now. Okay, here we go. Trey, can you relate the runes to the major arcana at all, and vice versa?
I'm kind of working on that. I'm not prepared to go into it right now, but I'm trying. I don't think that there is necessarily a definite equivalent. There's not a 1-to-1 ratio. However, I do think that there are some similarities between the themes of the runes and what you might find as the themes, not just of the major arcana, but just themes within the tarot deck. And so for part of my book there, I would like to have, you know, some similarities between the two, like just in general, what cards might match the certain vibe of a rune. But again, that's a subjective thing, I think. And obviously these are two completely different systems. So there is no inherent equality between the two. The one was made over here and the other was made over here, and they're completely independent of each other. And anything where we connect the dots is because we look at it and we want to see the similarities.
Right.
But that's a really, really cool question.
Oh, come back. You're gone again. You have to come back. Give me a minute. I'm going to bring you back. Show on stream. Close. Are you back? You're back.
I'm back.
You're back. Sorry. I don't know why it does that. And moreover, IT John hasn't figured out why it does that. So there it is. You're just magical. You come in and you come out.
Yeah.
So my theory in terms of learning divination is like there are people, like, I tell tarot students this all the time, tarot students who don't want to do a reading until they really know the cards. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to know the cards until you read with them.
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, I'd like to spend some time doing readings, if that's all right. Oh, this is a good point too. And I have this deck. Next time you come on, we're going to talk about this. Serviceman 1, Handle Tarot has runes printed on the designs. I've got the deck. I had forgotten that. So I'll play with that and we can talk about it. Next time you come on, we'll play with that too. Thank you for that. That is good to know. So, as many of you know, typically when I come on to do readings, my goal is to take every person to do them in order and make sure everyone gets done. We can't do that here. We only have a few minutes, and I'm going to pick the questions that I feel like picking. And I'm going to ask Aerik to read on it, and I might have some questions. And I might also pull a rune. And so we're going to play with it that way. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. First question up. Here we are. It's TJ and GA. Are you ready, Aerik?
I'm ready.
Okay, TJ says, I feel like I'm preparing for something, but I don't know what it is. Any insight?
Ooh. I like, by the way, that you are being open about how you're showing favoritism. You're only picking the questions that you like. I respect that, As long as you're upfront about it, then it's fine. So, you're preparing for something, but you don't know what it is. Any insight? That is a curious question. I have my rune set here in my bag that I'm just kind of dowsing through. Let's see what jumps out to me. So we're just doing like a single. Okay, I'm going with just a single pull guidance here. I pulled
Thurzaz.
Center. Yes, Thurzaz. The thorn, and I feel like the thing you're preparing for might kind of be a defensive battle type deal that's the feeling I'm getting. Your preparation is necessary because you need to push that thing away and be able to defend against that thing that is coming to you. And since you're preparing, you're going to be fine. If you were not preparing for something, then you would not be fine. But ultimately, this is the type of situation that is, to some degree, out of your control. It's a force that is bigger than you. And, whatever happens is going to happen. But it's some type of, the word that comes to mind is battle, right? But that doesn't, that could be a life challenge,
So let me make this more complicated.
Oh, yay.
And I pulled one for the same question, and I got Perthrow. What would you do with that? How would you add Perthrow into that to either give more information about either how to prepare or what you're preparing for? What does that do?
That's actually really interesting. You pull something, I pull something, and we see what the combination is there. It almost reflects that same idea in the sense of this is something that's bigger than you. And we have that from Thurzaz, but then in Perthrow, we have that hidden mystery, almost uncontrollable fate type vibe. Again, that's a bigger force than us. It's things that are outside of our control. The Gambler's Cup is chance. We don't have control of the dice that come out of the cup, right? It's random. Right. So it's the thing that's outside of our control. And I feel like they kind of reflect each other a little bit, at least in that idea. How would you connect those two things?
Well, and I mean, just thinking about the shape, Serviceman 1 says, you will get the point. But thinking about the shape, if you did it in a certain way, one could fit inside the other, right? Like you could put the thorn inside the cup.
You could.
And so I was thinking about that. And I was thinking, like, when you're talking about, okay, you're preparing for something that's out of your control, it may be a battle. I'm thinking, okay, on one hand, I guess you're girding your loins in a way, you're preparing for battle. But I'm also thinking like boundaries, like already to really be working on what you can control. What can you control? What can you not control? And how do you put boundaries around yourself so that you're not overly taxed when whatever it is you're preparing for comes to pass? And I would also say, to echo what you were saying, Aerik, that the fact that you already know that you're already spiritually preparing lets us know it's fine.
Yeah, honestly, that's the type of, so sometimes you get the rune and you pull the one rune and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then sometimes you get the rune like this one and it's like, you almost need to do a full reading just on that. Like sometimes the one rune is enough and sometimes it's like the
right.
tip.
So like I would have this follow-up question for TJ, which is like, okay, what does TJ need to know, or what should TJ do to prepare? Can we do that? Like, does that make sense?
I think we should, because otherwise it's just like a
weird
big
and
tease.
scary.
Yeah.
So,
right?
okay, like what does TJ need to know, or what can TJ do to prepare? Let's do the same thing. You go and then I'll go.
Okay. All right. So the focus. Okay. I've got urus. Right. So I'm getting an indication from that the focus needs to be on your physical health. And that is the best thing that you can do to put yourself in a position where you're going to be well defended against whatever this type of battle is. It doesn't mean that the problem coming in is going to be health related. But when we talk about being physically fit, getting enough sleep, eating right, because then we can better guard against stress and anxiety and all the other things that happen when life challenges us. So right now, a lot of physical fitness, not like, going to work out, but just like make sure that you're treating your body right, get enough rest. This is very practical, by the way. Get enough, we should all be doing this.
Right.
Eat right, get enough sleep, that kind of stuff. Just stay healthy.
So, Othila. To me, like if I were to put that, I almost wonder, is it a family thing? And TJ comes in and says, wow, I have recently started focusing on my health, my diet, and my sleep. So already doing it. So how would you add Othila to that?
Okay, so interestingly, the thing that came to my mind right now as we're talking about that is to make sure that your dwelling is okay. So because a lot of time Othila talks about property.
Okay, tell me the right way to say it. Say it again so I can say it the right way.
Othila.
Okay. Okay.
So a lot of times this is an indication of property. Like back in the day, it was an inherited property, something that you got from, passed down to you. But
so like a 10 of Pentacles.
Okay. Yeah. So, but like the thought that I'm getting is, as you're making sure that you're focusing on your health, you also make sure that where you live, where you dwell, where you reside is energetically sound. So I don't know what that might mean to you, but that could be doing a smoke cleanse around your house, or setting up some crystals to, prevent bad energy from coming in, the bad juju, right? Hang some sweet grass above your door. Like whatever to you makes you feel like the place where you are residing is a safe place energetically. That's also very important to whatever is coming up.
Beautiful. That makes sense. So, Othala, the key word on this for me is heritage. Could it have to do with anything ancestral?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And TJ comes back and says, nailing it. I've also been cleaning and major organizing, which sets the energy for me.
Nice.
So there it is. Okay. So next question, and the floor is open for questions. We only have time for a couple. And okay, Trey wants us to do a collective reading for the general state of the world, advice for all of us on the planet right now.
Okay.
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 No big thing, just a little thing.
No biggie. Yeah. No, it's just when you say state of the world, my mind goes to places already, but
mine does too.
Yeah. Advice.
Yeah, just general advice for living on the planet right now.
Okay, general advice for living on. It's a hard place to be. It's a hard place to be.
It is.
Oh man, you know what came out again? Okay.
What?
This is going to be interesting. Okay. Here we
Yeah,
have.
Yeah, no shit.
But so I have a little bit different implications with Thurisaz depending on how it falls.
Okay.
So for me, when Thurisaz comes out this way, which is technically the reverse direction, I feel like this is an indicator to be defensive. And while it's upright, I hope you can see that. While it's upright, it's more of an offensive type thing going on. Because if you think of the thorn, you could poke somebody with the thorn like a weapon, or you could kind of like surround yourself with thorns to keep people away. So it's both offensive and defensive in nature. And so the message is really just to like stay safe. You use your best judgment. Man, and that really, I feel very conflicted about that, because I feel like we are also at a time, I don't want to get too soapboxy, okay? But we're also at a time where like we really do need people to speak out and come out of the safety and be loud. And I guess the message for most people who are not those people are, you don't have, I feel very conflicted about saying that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be loud. You can stay in your bubble right now and be safe and keep to yourself. And that is fine. That is fine.
I mean, I think that's really important, because different people have different risk tolerances for a lot of different reasons. So let's add to it. Okay, let me make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. Is it Laguz?
Laguz.
Yeah. Okay. So if we add Laguz to that, and Trey says, okay, personal boundaries and prioritizing your own mental health, yes. And for me, like if I were to add Laguz, I feel like maybe that would be, sort of leaning into that sense of emotional well-being, but also recognizing that everything is always changing and that the energy is changing, and we can work to change the energy, that there's nothing here that we're stuck with forever. What would you think about that?
Yeah, I feel that a lot. I love how you touched on the emotions that really are such, that emotional well-being, emotional safety is so big right now. And other thing that is a big keyword for Lagus that is sticking out to me right now is kind of on that same like watery vibe, right? It's the intuition also. And so if that has a message, I think the message is that like what you do is truly up to you. You have to use your best judgment. You should not go inside because someone says you need to stay inside right now. You need to hide. You should not go out because someone says you need to speak up. You need to get your voice heard. You have to use your intuition and make that determination for yourself, and not because anyone else says to do it. You need to decide that.
Beautiful. Love that. Love that. So we have time for maybe one more question, if one more question comes in. So if you're wondering if you should ask a question, now is the time. Speak now or wait until next time. Now is the time. And while we are waiting to see if anyone else, Trey says thank you for that. While we're waiting to see if we get another question, I wanted to speak for a moment about bind runes. When you're making a bind rune, do all the runes that you're including have to be the same size?
No. I mean, no. Do you feel like they have to be?
I did. And I'm having a hard time graphically with that. And so does it matter? Okay, if say in the bind rune, the way it looks graphically, one of the runes is much smaller than the rest, does it have less power if you do it that way?
Well, I wouldn't. Okay, so for me in the bind rune, usually what I want to see is the central idea to my magical intention should be the best reflected on that page. So if my intention was protecting my property and I was going to use Othala, I would want that to be the biggest thing that I'm looking at when I see the bind rune, the central idea. I don't think it necessarily would make it less powerful if you make it smaller. I mean, your intention is everything here, right? So the biggest thing with the bind rune is that you look at it and you like it.
Thank you. That's what I needed to know.
Did you put them together in a way that looks good? Great. Then you did it. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. We're going to do one more reading and then we're going to call it a night. For Caroline McLaughlin. So good to see you. Caroline's taking a trip this week and she wants to know how it's going to be.
Okay. Let's take a look at your trip. Anything to watch out for on that trip? Where are you going, Caroline?
I know she lives in Australia.
Okay.
So that's all I know.
We have some like repeated themes going on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So your trip is going to be awesome. And it's going to reinvigorate, this is life force and vitality in Uruz. And that's going to reinvigorate you to some degree. I don't know where you're going, but that sounds great to me.
Okay, so let's add to it Fehu.
So anytime that I see Fehu attached to something, it's like an increase of that thing. Right? Because it's like gain and accumulation. And, the idea of wealth is like gathering money. We're not necessarily talking about wealth here, but we're talking about increasing vitality. So it's like what I just said, but now to another level.
So that's interesting because my tarot brain was going to be, okay, it might be expensive. You wouldn't go there.
I didn't get that. That's totally possible. I could go there.
Okay, but you didn't intuitively.
I didn't right now at this moment. But in another reading, sure, I could have gone there.
Okay, that's super helpful to me. I've learned a lot just from watching how you work with this. It is very tarot-like, right? Like one rune can mean a lot of different things, just like one tarot card can mean a lot of different things.
Yep.
And with that, that's our time. She's taking her unwell friend to a doctor's appointment. So if your friend feels like it, take her out to lunch.
Okay. Well, this is why that dialogue between the reader and querent is so important, right? And I know we're probably like, we have to wrap up.
No, go ahead.
But when we divine, we get images and pictures in our head of clues as to what the message is. And only by establishing that dialogue and going back and forth, and that's with the querent, do you refine what that message is. So I was imagining a vacation in my head. I thought that's what we were going for. You're taking your sick friend to the doctor is a little bit different frame. So if we apply that lens, then it's more like you need to focus on increasing the things that you associate with health or with the health, whatever the health plan is for the friend, that really needs to be the focus. Bring that into the foreground, and cheer them up, give them that sense of vitality. Let them feel alive so that they can have the happiness that's going to fuel whatever their recovery is. So thank you for answering that and letting us frame it.
Yeah. And the thing is that I think is really important is, context always matters. But at the end of the day, it's still a positive reading. It's still going to be a positive trip, no matter what is said or done at the doctor's. It's going to be a positive thing to be able to be together and do this together. And for you to show up in a strong way for your friend is a good thing. And we are going out for a nice dinner. Damn straight you are. Okay, good. Perfect. That's what we needed. All right. First of all, to everyone in the chat, everyone in the village, thank you so much. Whether you're watching the replay or with us here this evening, thank you. Of course, a special shout out to the members, the moderators. We appreciate you so much. Aerik Arkadian, I cannot thank you enough. Really appreciate you. Thanks for sharing your time, your skills, your wisdom. Really appreciate that. And everyone, there are links. Both Aerik and I are available for readings. Yep. Feel free to reach out. And Aerik, I hope we'll see you back here soon.
I'll be back.
I will look forward to that.
Thank you, Christiana.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous evening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.